To Amarillo's number one hit music station, 96.9 Kiss FM. Wrapping up the countdown right there at number one. That is Justin Timberlake, Not a Bad Thing. Tonight we're talking about sexual assault. We got TJ Lloyd here to talk about the whole Sexual Assault Awareness Month, which is the month of April, which I never knew about that, but now I do. And this is why we're here, because we want to pass the message so that people are aware about this and are aware about sexual assault. If you're in a situation where you feel like you're getting sexual assaulted, you know, there's ways of handling the situation without, you know, being afraid to talk about it or embarrassed to talk about it, in fear of talking about it. You know, there's so many different scenarios or different situations that you can get sexually assaulted. Not only just by women, but men as well get sexually assaulted. Kids, babies, they as well get sexually assaulted. And you know, this is something just very important that I feel that as a community we need to fight this issue and come together as a community and you know, help stop this.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, to throw some more numbers out there, if I may, and this is another one that I like to talk about with people because it puts a lot of things in perspective. But if you take, let's say 100 sexual assault cases or 100 rape cases,
right?
Let's say. So we've been talking about how people are afraid or scared to speak up. So out of those 100, only 40 of them are reported. So already those numbers are pretty bad. Out of the 100 cases, 40 of them get reported.
Wow.
Out of those 40, only 10 will lead to an arrest. Okay? Out of those 10, 8 will go to trial. Out of those 8 that go to trial, 4 will get felony convictions. Out of those 4 that get felony convictions, only 3 will ever see a single day in jail. And the other 97 of those 100 reported go free.
Are you kidding?
Yeah, it was, or out of those 100 that happened.
Wow.
You know, so.
That's scary right there.
It's very scary. It's very
because,
scary.
You know, a predator will not only do it, if he does it once and get away with it, they'll do it again.
Yep, absolutely. And given those numbers, that happens, that means only 3 people out of 100 will ever see a single day in jail. So that means people feel like they can get away with it because it's something that people aren't, you know, being convicted for, and in a very heavy manner anyway. You know, if we even look at the cases that happen in the news, you know, there's sexual assault on college campuses and people staying quiet. Yukon had a case. Of course, we all know about the.
Was it the football?
Yeah. You know, and that went on for years.
Right.
Years. You know that man. He knew he had got away with it, and there was nothing wrong. You know, so. You
know, it could happen right next door. It could from your neighbor. It could happen, you know, in your work area from a boss, a coworker. It can happen at school. Yeah. It can happen from somebody who you think you're in a relationship with. You know, a parent, a step parent, a family member. The list can just keep going and going.
It goes on and on. Yeah, and you know. I'm glad you brought that up because that's kind of where it happens from the most. Is I think people are, you know, put the blame on this mysterious stranger in the dark, and it's almost like a boogeyman that comes to get you. But no, a lot of the times these are people you know.
Right.
They're friends, family, acquaintances, people who hang out with you, and that's how people get put in these situations. You know, and it's not to say you shouldn't be comfortable around people. But just be aware of what's going on around you and an awareness as a community of what's going on because you think you're safe going home with so-and-so or that these people have your best interest at heart. You know, but that's not always the case.
Do we find some of the cases people being under the influence of alcohol and drugs?
A lot. Alcohol is actually the number one, like, date rape drug, if per se, you know.
Right.
College campuses, high school parties, that's the biggest fuel to the fire. But you know, alcohol, that being said, alcohol is not an excuse. Alcohol just lets you be who you already were. These guys or the perpetrators, because you know, we're not just going to put it on guys, but the
right.
perpetrators, they were already going to do this. You know, the alcohol just added fuel to the fire and gave reason and probably leeway, the person is a little less resistant now.
It could be that one person who is sober all night but feeding drinks to the other person because they have it planned out.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they take advantage of the situation when you're either under the influence of drugs or alcohol.
Yep.
That's another, a possibility. But, once when you say no, and that person continues to do it, that's considered sexual assault.
Sexual assault. And unwanted touch, if you're even trying to get somebody to leave with you, and they're like, I don't know, I'm not sure, no. But you're like, no. And people call that spitting game, or staying in there, not giving up, whatever you may want to call it. But it's crossing a line. No is no. If somebody doesn't want to leave with you, that should be fine.
Right.
Okay, fine. And I think that's what we as people gotta learn is it's fine to take a no, because nobody wants to take a no. Nobody wants to take an L. But do you want it to be more than that? Because now you're crossing a line to something else that you yourself might not even want it to be, but that's what it's become.
Of course. And how many stories out there are untold because the person who got, raped or sexually assaulted are afraid to speak up.
Oh, it's crazy the amount that would happen, and a lot of it even. Let's take college campuses for example. Athletes are actually the number one perpetrators. College athletes are the number one perpetrators on college campuses, and like I was saying earlier, a lot of it is machismo, and this feeling of entitlement and. Well, I'm the big man on campus.
Right.
You're some superstar athlete, whatever it may be, and so you feel almost entitled to your prize, or like, what? I'm me. Why wouldn't you?
Right.
Why wouldn't they want to? And that happens not just on college campuses. College campuses is a big one. Did you know 33% of sexual assault cases are by ex-athletes, and that's all cases. Like ex-athletes from middle school, high school, college, those guys usually are the larger part of perpetrate the sexual assaults in America.
And how many cases have you heard of, people who have a higher up authority in the workplace, whatever kind of business it is, they feel like they can say or do whatever they want to a coworker.
This is just a sad reality, in our community. And when I say community, I mean the country as a whole. Is that it's easy to oppress those below you through fear or force.
Right.
And I think that happens a lot even through our entertainment, through our advertisement. We build this culture on that it's okay to cross these lines. And then this is what people want, or we build a fear in such an area, and we never talk about it. That people, so when it happens to people, because people will think that it can't happen to me, but when it eventually does, we don't give them an outlet. Like news media and everything like that will run like these stories that scare people to death. And about they'll talk about sexual assault. And they'll talk about the dangers of it, the horrors of it, which
right.
is fine. But you need to talk about, look, there's people out there that love you. There's people out there that want to help.
Yes.
And it might be scary, and you might be nervous, and you may lose something. But rather lose that little bit of thing than your whole self. Because, it tears people to pieces. And that's the poetry event that we're putting on. It's called Patchwork Poetry, because it's about picking up the pieces and putting yourself back together and being a survivor and carrying on. So.
And just kind of remember this, especially for young people who are in a relationship, who they think they know what love is. But if you're in a relationship and you say no to that other person, something that you just feel very uncomfortable in not doing. If you say no and they cannot respect you to stop, that person's not into you.
That is not love. That's a great point. It's a great point. And the department I work in, we deal a lot with kids, And we tell kids that on such a regular basis. You know, and we make sure, I work in the education prevention department, and so we try to make sure that we stop it before it becomes a thing with this younger generation. And that's one of the things, like, it's okay to say no. You know, it's and if you say no and that person can't respect it, then they weren't for you anyway.
Right.
Maybe move on. You know?
Kiss lines are open. Don't be afraid to call up, and just any question that you have. If you feel like you're in a hard situation, if it's a relationship, if it's at work, if it's something that happened over the weekend after the club, you know, even like